Welcome to the Health and Wellness Marketplace. Here's your host, Laura Lewis.
Hello and welcome to the Health and Wellness Marketplace. Go to any grocery or health food store in America and you're sure to find the organic foods aisle. Seems a little crazy that when you're talking about fruits and vegetables that they would be anything but organic. They do all grow from plants, right? Here to help clear up some of the confusion and explain the importance of eating fruits and vegetables is Richard Lentz, president of Seagate. Richard, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me back.
Richard, what exactly is organic farming, and why has your company decided to use this method to grow your own fruits and vegetables?
Well, it's actually a lot easier to do than farming with pesticides and chemicals. You know, nature made it right, and we're trying to just not improve upon nature, but we're trying not to destroy these plants and vegetables that we're growing.
I want to mention real quickly, the American Cancer Society recognizes the importance of eating a high fruit and vegetable diet to prevent cancer. I mean, Richard, you're an agricultural expert, fisherman, agricultural expert. What have you learned about eating fruits and vegetables, in particular to prevent cancer and other diseases? I threw in fisherman. It's so funny. You're fisherman, farmer, right? So, but you're an agricultural expert.
Well, they're both actually related to each other in that all the waste products from our fish processing, we truck up to the farm and we use for fertilizer.
So it's related.
Part of it is because our plant is located in an area where we're surrounded. It's almost a semi-residential commercial area. Houses grew up around us, so we can't dump the waste, not even the water from the processing, into the sewer system because the smell will back up into the lines that feed off into these other houses. Mm-hmm. So we capture all the water, put them in barrels, and we truck it up to the farm and use it for irrigation.
Now we have some pictures. We have some pictures of that. Did you bring some relative to that? I think we've got some other pictures here. Now this,
yeah.
What are we looking at here?
Well, this is an area in Baja California. This was our very first farming venture in 1998. This picture was taken. This was the beginning of our carrot farm. And what's important here, if you look to the right, there's this little barbed wire fence. Mm-hmm. The only thing out there are cows.
Okay.
And we're keeping the cows from getting into the carrot farm.
They're looking over the fence. I want those carrots, right? Okay.
Yeah, they're just starting to grow now, and the area behind that was just nothing but, just desolate, just dry area. Here what we have is just a little part of a greenhouse where we're growing broccoli seedlings. Broccoli is a difficult plant. You have to grow it for about 6 weeks in a greenhouse, and then you transplant it on the farm. We're growing about, here there's just a couple of thousand, but normally we're growing probably about 100,000 broccoli plants in the greenhouse, and then we hand transplant them on the farm when they're big enough. Otherwise, if you just put a seedling in the ground, it wouldn't survive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be harder if you plant it by the seedling.
Exactly.
Okay. Very good.
This is actually a broccoli field with the weeds growing, and you can see the guy that's working out there, he's not doing anything to the broccoli, he's actually picking the weeds. And this is the hardest part of organic farming, because organic farming is, A, you don't use any kind of fertilizer that comes from a petroleum-based source, mm-hmm. and B, you don't use any kind of pesticides or any kind of herbicides to kill the weeds. So what the hardest job of organic farming is, instead of killing the weeds with sprays, you got to pick them and do it the old-fashioned way. But just think about it. If you're going to be eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, and you're not going to be having, you're saying, well, I'm eating all these for anti-cancer purposes, and you're eating things that are laced with weed-killing chemicals. How much anti-cancer benefit are you going to get? Or are you going to be eating chemicals that are going to be causing cancer? So, I mean, if you're going to be doing this for the purposes of health, you shouldn't be doing anything other than eating organics.
Right, you might as well. I think we have some more pictures here. Now, what is this?
This is the broccoli that's matured. We're actually picking the sprouts, the shoots that come out of it, so the broccoli can actually last for about a year.
Now, where is this that
This
you're
is in Baja California.
Baja California.
Which is south of San Diego,
mm-hmm.
and in the mountains. You can see the mountains on the side.
Mm-hmm.
That purple going across there was just discoloration, because I'm not very good at transferring slides in PowerPoint.
Oh, that's not the beautiful sky in the background, not purple sky in Baja.
That's Richard and his computer, unfortunately.
Yeah, now, what is this here?
That's another view of the same broccoli. And the reason I'm pointing this out, you can see we have a warehouse in the background there.
Mm-hmm.
That's that and a couple of little farmhouses. Those are the only buildings. So there are no people, no town. There's nothing there at all. We are growing this in an area where the groundwater is about 15 feet below the level of the dirt,
mm-hmm.
and it's runoff from these surrounding mountains, from the rains and from the. You get the moisture from the clouds as they pass over the center of Baja California. They just kind of drop the moisture into the mountains.
Isn't that nice? Sounds wonderful. I think we have one more picture here. What is that? That
is the small freeze dryer. It's a stainless steel tank, rotary tank. You can see in the middle that those copper discs.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we use to control the temperature in the dryer. At the end of the drying process, freeze drying, first of all, is drying the products in a vacuum. So we're taking it down to like 1/1000th of atmospheric pressure, to where you would have the same pressure if you were in a space capsule circling the Earth.
Oh, okay.
And at that level, bacteria can't grow, and it's 0 degrees Fahrenheit. It's below freezing temperature.
Mm-hmm.
It's freezing. And you also are not allowing, besides bacteria, you're also not allowing the phytochemicals in the plant to further deteriorate. You've pretty much frozen it in time, and you're subtracting the moisture under, directly removing it from an ice particle into a vapor, and it's blown off into the plant.
Wow. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, all those machines that you'll see are things that we ended up having to build ourselves, because they're just... Freeze dryers are only really used in the pharmaceutical industry, and they price those things so far out of reach that you're talking about machines that would cost $500,000 to $1 million, which if you can roll the stainless steel yourself and build the tanks, it would cost you, building it yourself, maybe $100,000. So it's a big savings doing it yourself.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we're going to take a short break, then we'll be right back with more questions for Richard. Welcome back to the Health and Wellness Marketplace. Richard, let's take a look at a study that you brought in about the anti-cancer benefits of vegetables.
Well, the way this works is I can't claim it myself because we're a health food manufacturer. So I look for the studies, put it up there, and put references to it.
Okay.
This was in 1997 Carcinogenesis magazine.
Magazine. All right.
The supplementation of the diet with tomato, carrot, or spinach products resulted in a significant decrease in DNA strand breakage and reduced oxidative damage, especially with carrot intervention.
What does that mean in English, though?
It's making, a lot of cancer is the result of, our cells that are out of control. They're duplicating themselves, and you end up with big cancerous tumors because the cells have been taken over. The DNA have been damaged and are cancerous, replicating themselves to the point where eventually they grow into a big tumor and you die. And what that article is saying is that carrots, broccoli, tomatoes are plants that can stop the DNA damage from occurring in the first place, chemoprotective.
Protecting it, yes, actually protecting it. Okay, we've got a question from one of our viewers. Let's see what it is.
Well, I really don't like the taste of broccoli, so is there a supplement that I can take instead?
Yeah, can I comment real quick before you answer? Now, you may or may not know this. I remember reading this a couple of years ago, that actually when people don't like broccoli, it's something genetic.
Oh, really?
There's something about their taste buds, and I've got to come back and remember what that is. But so he doesn't like the taste of broccoli.
He and George Bush, and he's our perfect customer because no-brainer. That's why we made the broccoli supplement, was for those people that don't like the taste of broccoli.
Yeah.
Or we're too lazy to prepare it several times a week, because that's one of those vegetables. It's not like you're eating celery and lettuce, which are good for roughage and for cleaning out your colon. These are actually good because of their chemoprotective qualities. And my wife's been working on me for 30 years to eat more broccoli. But now that I created the broccoli capsules, and I did this one really for myself, because now I take a broccoli capsule or two every day. She's getting a lot lazier about trying to force me to eat broccoli because I'll resist it. That'll be the last thing on my plate that I'll eat, and she'll go, well, you didn't finish your broccoli, so I'll finish it.
See, you know what? I love broccoli, and all three of my kids grew up eating broccoli. We used to call them little broccoli trees. So we all like that. But so, and you're one of those. Have you always not liked the taste of broccoli?
Always not liked it. I never really liked the taste of cooked vegetables. Well, here's one for you too.
Okay.
When you cook broccoli, you will cut down by 80% the level of those glucosinolates, the sulforaphane predecessor that's in the broccoli will be reduced by a minimum of 45 and a maximum of 80% through the cooking process. That's one of those vegetables that you can damage through cooking, and nobody eats broccoli raw. Well, very few people eat broccoli
You're right.
raw.
It's tough to eat raw. It really is. There are many different components in broccoli that are good for you, and you mentioned sulforaphane. What does that do exactly for your health? Exactly. Sulforaphane, we've talked about that before. What's happening with that?
Well, there have been studies, I think it was Johns Hopkins University, they found that the sulforaphane was actually inducing enzymes in your body that are chemoprotective. And in addition, the sulforaphane itself will kill the H. pylori bacteria, which can cause, besides stomach ulcers, but it can cause stomach cancer.
Stomach cancer. Okay.
So, you know, it's another, you know, they're studying broccoli more, and it's not just broccoli, but it's also the cruciferous vegetables. But we're doing broccoli because I decided to focus on one that was easier to grow than cabbage and spinach and all that.
Right, cruciferous, which, by the way, means there's a little cross design in the way those plants grow, right?
Exactly.
I love that. Let's take a look at this study. Yeah, right here.
Cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli and cauliflower seem to be especially protective against cancer. That was a 2003 study. And, you know, if you look on the internet, there's no lack of it. You know, do a Google search, or there's a National Institute of Health website where broccoli is one of the most studied vegetables. There's no lack of studies. We can't put on our literature or on our labels that these are chemoprotective or anything like that, and I can't claim it on the show, but I can show articles and read them. But, you know, if you had to pick one vegetable to eat all the time, it would be broccoli.
Sure.
And that's one of the vegetables that a lot of people just avoid eating at any cost, and it's also a little bit difficult to go to the store, get the fresh broccoli, steam it, and prepare it. So what we're doing, you know, is saying, people, if you can't get it every day, and your first choice would be to get an organic broccoli to eat, then go take 2 capsules a day would be the equivalent.
This is from a viewer concerned for his father. Let's take a look.
My father has difficulty eating. How can he go about getting the nutrients he needs without having to eat vegetables?
Well, what I would tell him is he's in the right place, because what we're doing is freeze-drying, grinding the vegetables into a fine powder, so it makes it infinitely easier to digest. You know, if you're going to be eating a carrot, when you chew it up, you end up with big pieces going into your stomach, and it's kind of rough. A lot of people, I mean, it's good for you because it's roughage, but it's also difficult for you to digest. So when you turn it into a very fine powder, and we're talking a couple of microns in size, some of the powder that we make is so light that if you open the bottle, the powder actually comes up out of the carrot powder will come up out of the bottle, and the shark cartilage powder will do that itself too. So that'll make it easier for him to eat, and also taking in capsule form. If the reason that he doesn't like to eat it or can't eat it is because of taste or because he can't swallow big pieces, the capsules are pretty decent. These are single zero capsules, so they're not that big to
Yeah, you have maybe problems chewing, and be much better than trying to puree something. Just pop those capsules, and you're guaranteed to get all those nutrients. We're going to take a quick break now and then be back for more with Richard. Welcome back to the Health and Wellness Marketplace. We've talked about broccoli and cancer, Richard. Let's take a look at the study.
Okay, this is the last of the studies that I brought along, so everybody bear with me. Indole-3-carbinol, a compound that occurs naturally in cabbage and broccoli, can arrest human MCF7 breast cancer cells. The reason this is important, not only because this is another study that showed that broccoli had anti-cancer properties, is because, as I said, there's a lot of other phytonutrients in these plants other than, like the tomato, the lycopene being the only thing out there. In the broccoli, you have the glucoraphanin, the sulforaphane, the indole-3-carbinols. If people studied this more, I would guarantee that there's a dozen plus independent phytonutrients that you can't separate out. There's a reason nature put it in there, and it's good for you, and we shouldn't be using solvents to extract them.
So I'm going to have a test later about all these chemical compounds you're talking about, right? No, I hope not.
Well, I've been working in it for a long time, so I can remember a lot of these.
Yeah.
But the first time that I ever talked about this, I couldn't remember the names of them. But the important thing is that there's more than one or two or three, that these plants that have these kind of benefits have them because there's a lot of other phytonutrients in them.
Now, one thing I found interesting is that fruits and vegetables are anti-cancer as well as antifungal. Are your products antifungal?
Well, the first thing is most plants and vegetables have their own natural antifungal characteristics because just, how Darwin and natural selection over time created stronger animals and stronger plants because the plants that died didn't reproduce. So what you have now is these naturally occurring, simple things like broccoli and carrots and garlic and all that will naturally be antifungal for themselves, at least, because if they weren't, when moisture would fall on those plants and they wouldn't dry overnight, they would start growing fungus and they would die and they wouldn't reproduce. So just the natural selection process resulted in that. Now there's some specific plants that are extremely antifungal, which are things that we're harvesting for the purpose of making an antifungal, antimicrobial product. The most important one would be the olive tree, and we're extracting olive oil from the olives and olive leaves from the trees, but you could take the bark, the roots, any part of that olive tree, and it would be extremely strong. In fact, there were studies, which you'll probably thank me for not bringing it, in Europe, where they were finding that the wash water from olive plants downstream from the olive plants, where they were just, at a time, this was like 40 years ago when they were dumping the olive water down into the streams, was killing a lot of the vegetation downstream and the bacteria in the soil because it was so antimicrobial that the water from the process was almost like an antibiotic going downstream. The olive leaves we pick because that is the least intrusive part of the olive tree that we can get at, and also an olive tree is kind of like a rose bush. Every couple of years you need to trim it back in order to have the olives producing.
I didn't know that. By the way, I wanted to mention about the fruits and vegetables, the things you were talking about earlier, especially the vegetables, that God really did it right with the whole plant. That's something that you keep coming back to, by the way. Also, now, it's very interesting that about the antifungal properties of the olive leaf. So how does that work more? I know you've got products that you can spray in your nose and some other things about the olive leaf.
Oh, yeah. This goes actually back to a study. It was Merck, the pharmaceutical company, back in 1969, was looking for an antiviral agent. And they had heard that olive leaves were antiviral. So they removed, here's another chemical, calcium alanolate, which is part of it's an extract from the olive leaf. If you take it all the way down, it becomes calcium alanolate. And in the phase 1 testing, they found that calcium alanolate killed everything that it came in contact with in test tubes. But when you did phase 2 testing, where they fed it to humans, the calcium alanolate combined with some protein in the blood, and it made it completely ineffective. So I saw this study and I thought, well, maybe if we made a whole olive leaf extract, just water-based without using solvents and trying to derive whatever is that specific phytonutrient and isolate it, that it would become effective. So we were just making a very simple non-solvent-based extract and then using a spray dryer to concentrate it and making a powdered capsule extract.
By the way, I want to clarify, phytonutrient means a plant nutrient, right?
Plant nutrient.
Okay. Tell me about your olive leaf products. What are some of the things you have now? You have olive leaf cream. What about that?
Well, from the extract, we decided to make some user-friendly products. We thought, well, if people were taking it orally, why not spray it in their nose to kill nasal infections? So we make olive leaf nasal spray, homeopathic, olive leaf throat spray, earache remedy, which is basically an olive leaf extract-based product, And then we went into topicals. We do an Oliviate, which is Oliviate. Like, nobody's ever gotten that right. That was
Alleviate.
Probably,
Alleviate.
Like Alleviate.
Alleviate, okay.
It's a topical olive oil-based homeopathic remedy for, it's an antifungal. We also do a diaper rash remedy and a burn remedy, all using olive oil with some shark liver oil and some homeopathics in it. So altogether, there's about 9 or 10 products that we do from the olive tree, and they are all antimicrobial. You know, what if you put on a topical burn ointment, something that not only protected the skin, but also kept the bacteria from growing? That's what we're trying to accomplish.
Now let's talk about the ear remedy for a second, because I mean, you know, I have children, you know, some are a little bit older now, but still even my son who's 7, he continues to have these ear infections, and I hate it that I try to avoid antibiotics, but also I know that you can put certain things in the ear. How does the ear remedy work?
Well, I think it was about a year ago the government finally came out and said that they're advising mothers not to use antibiotics for earaches anymore. And the reason being is because it's ineffective. Number 2, a lot of times the earache, which is a result of the eustachian tube in children being so small, the germs are able to get up into the inner ear very easily. So we thought, well, let's make something which has no side effects. It is not a medicine. It's a homeopathic medicine.
Is it a drop?
It's a drop.
Okay.
Goes right in the ears, and we've been selling it now for a couple of years. It's got excellent results, and there's no side effects, and it kills germs on contact.
I love that. I'm buying it. I love it. We're going to take a quick break now, but then we'll be back to continue our conversation with Richard.
Welcome to the world of Seagate, fishing company, organic farmer, and health food processor. The raw materials that are processed in our plant come from Seagate's organic farming and fishing operations. Seagate cannot improve upon nature. However, we can concentrate these valuable nutrients into quality products that are beneficial to your health and reasonably priced. Carrots and garlic combines beta-carotene with garlic's antimicrobial nutrients and support against heart disease. Olive leaf extract, antimicrobial support without the side effects of pharmaceuticals. Shark liver oil, rich in omega-3s, essential for maintaining a healthy heart. Grapeseed extract, a powerful antioxidant promoting blood vessel elasticity. Seagate broccoli capsules, a convenient part of your daily anti-cancer diet. For more information on Seagate, call 1-888-505-GATE, or please ask your local health food store to call us.
Welcome back to the Health and Wellness Marketplace. Now, Richard, tell me about these vegetables that you've brought in here. We've been talking about them the entire show. So what do you have there?
Kind of odd for a fishing company to be growing vegetables.
Yes.
But these were, you know, the connection is we grow these vegetables using the fish waste and wash water from our fish processing plant. So these all have fish in them. And in fact, I didn't bring a sample with me, but people have been calling us, asking us to make a product from the fertilizer that we're using. So we make our own fish-based fertilizer and sell it in health food stores.
For them, for what?
For use either on, it works great on rose bushes.
On their own, but they're selling it in health food stores.
Yeah, it's like almost 4 pounds, and it's pure fish, dehydrated. We don't freeze dry it because that's too expensive to do on a fertilizer product. But if you put it on in March on your rose bushes, you'll end up with the biggest first bloom that you've ever had.
Wow. Okay.
So what we've got here is we got carrot powder from our plant, the tomato that we grow with the tomato concentrate.
The carrot powder is the one that you said that will kind of float when you open the...
Yeah, it's very fine.
Light,
yeah,
very
light.
fine. Okay.
Whereas the tomato, because it's kind of gritty, I don't really know why. Maybe it's because it's got a little bit of that residual sugar compound still in it. And this green one is the broccoli, and I didn't bring any garlic, and I wouldn't bring it anyway and put it out here because it would blow everybody out of the studio because it's that strong.
It's that strong.
Yeah.
And that's good. That's a good thing, though, for you.
Yeah,
for our bodies.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of these garlic supplements on the market advertise, you know, that they have no smell, no digestive problems, and what they've done is made an American consumer-friendly product that has no smell and lower levels of allicin and alanine in it. But we're trying to make a stronger garlic product and combine it with the carrot so that you're able to digest it easier and it'll mask the taste.
I just love that. I still love that idea of putting garlic and carrot together. Makes great sense instead of having to burping garlic all day long, right? It makes it a little bit softer, I know. Yeah. Well, that's all we have time for today on the show, Richard. If you'd like to know more about Seagate and all the amazing products they offer, you can call 888-505-GATE or 4283 or visit their website at www.seagateproducts.com. Richard, thank you for stopping by today. And to all of you at home, thank you for visiting the market. We're open again tomorrow at the same time. Have a great day.